Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and the last installment of my end of the year reading wrap up, beginning of the year because we're already the 11th of January, but today is the grand finale. What are my favorites from 2019? Now these books will be in the order in which I read them throughout the year and not how much I liked them, but the last one is a very special mention because it's my favorite of the year and probably one of my all-time favorites, my new all-time favorite book. So stay tuned till the end because that's when we have the actual book of the year for me. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get started. The first book I read and I loved this year is The Handmaid's Tale. I still don't have my copy back from the friend. It's by Margaret Atwood and is this dystopian novel about this regime taking over the world and then assigning specific roles to women within society and also other people within society, and it's her well-known classic. The second book, or the follow-up to the first one, just came out last year towards the end and I cannot wait to get it, is The Testament. It's a classic that I just think you should read. It's a great book, so smartly and nicely done. The writing was top-notch, so smart. I would highly recommend that book, and I actually also read the graphic novel of that book in a bookstore. I just picked it up and read it on the spot and it was so nice. I will also include the picture of the graphic novel edition I read. So yeah. Next one is a Harry Potter. I feel like for now every year I will have a Harry Potter in my favorite because I mean Harry Potter. I actually read two this year. The first one is The Order of the Phoenix and also The Half-Blood Prince. That one was actually a 4 stars out for me. I liked it a lot, but there were so many things that were just not doing it for me in that book. But that one is my favorite probably out of the entire series, with the fourth one. I love The Order of the Phoenix so much. It's also my biggest read of the year, but I love it so much. And yeah, I think it's my favorite Harry Potter. I still can't decide between The Order of the Phoenix and the Wizarding tournaments. I forgot the fourth one where they are competing in that tournament thingy. Tell me which one is your favorite out of the Harry Potter series. I would actually be really curious to know what is people's favorite. Next is an American classic, and the movie is coming out. Actually, it came out in some countries, but I'm still waiting for it to come out in the movie theaters in Germany, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I've spoken about this book already in so many videos. So it's following the lives of the 4 March sisters. Jo is my absolute favorite. I love her so much. And yeah, throughout the Civil War, their father was actually fighting there, but it's actually just an account of their childhood and then growing old into women. So it's lovely, full of values, virtue, sense of family, sense of sisterhood, beautiful, heartwarming, magical read, and it's making it to my favorite. And that cover also. I love the Puffin in Bloom editions. They're just stunning. Next is another American classic. Wow. And that is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I love that book. As I said already, it's following the life of Francie in around the turn of the century, so early 1900, in Brooklyn in New York, which is a neighborhood full of communities of immigrants from all over the world, immigrating to America. Her parents are first generation Americans, I think, and she is second generation, and yeah, just following her life. She's growing up in this really poor family, and I have a full-on review that you should go watch and read it, but I loved that book so much. It's so big. The writing is not that big, like it's really small, but I flew through it. It's literary fiction, so it's characters driven, but it's a beautiful piece of history between your hands, told in the most beautiful, stunning way, and it's a favorite of mine now. Next is did I just burn my hair with this kind of... Okay. Well, I'm definitely burning my Christmas tree. The next book is fantasy, and it's actually both the first and the second book, it's a duology, are both in my favorite, but I only have the copy for the first one, and that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I love that. I was craving fantasy at some point, and I just read these, and I read it. I remember staying up reading it late at night, and I had a flight the next day home. It was so good, and I was so happy that I bought them together, so the moment I finished the one, I started the other one. It was so sad, but I love the cast of characters. It's so good. It's such a nice fantasy book. The characters are amazing. The synergy between them, the quest, their background, what they're fighting for, what they're standing for is so nicely done, and it's so fast-paced and so adventurous and everything you want in a good fantasy book. So yeah, this one and the second one, Crooked Kingdom, were great, plus the writing. A++. Next is a contemporary fiction and adult fiction, and I'm really proud of the diversity in this favorite, and that is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love this book so much. It's a adult fiction exploring themes of what is love. So this person loses her husband in a plane crash, and they've been together for so long. He's her best friend, the love of her life, but then he is dead all of a sudden, and then she moves on with life, but then he comes back, and then question, what do you do? Do you carry on with life? Are you over this person? Did you grow apart? What is right? What is wrong? Question of ethics, question of what is love, and it's so nicely done. She's a great writer. I love this book. I read it throughout the course of a weekend, and it was actually tackling a topic that I was always so interested in, like what do you do when you lose your loved ones? Like where does your love go? And especially when it comes to partners, because do you partner with someone else? Do you move, like what do you do? And if they come back, what do you do? And that's exactly what the book did, and I just think it's so good. It was so good. I just devoured that book, and I would highly recommend it. Next is a non-fiction, yes, for the diversity, and that is Born a Crime, Stories from a Southern African Childhood by Trevor Noah. I have a full-on review about that book, and I will leave it for you here if you want to go and have more details, but it's a non-fiction. And like an account of his childhood growing up in South Africa. So heartfelt, so nicely said, so funny, so light, beautiful writing. This guy is not only a great like TV show host or figure of something, whatever you want to call him really, journalist probably, public speaker, but he's a great writer. This is so nicely written, it's beautiful. I really just loved having a piece of South Africa and learning a lot through him about the country and dealing with the apartheid period, and so nicely done, and I learned a lot about South Africa as a country as well, and I would highly recommend it. Next, another book you've seen a lot here, and that's also a contemporary, if you want to call it that. And that is A Man Called Off by Fredrik Backman, set in Sweden. Beautifully told about this grumpy guy, lost his wife, is super grumpy, hates everything, and then these Iranian, the woman is Iranian, and maybe she's married to a Swedish, I don't know, but they move into the neighborhood, and then everything changes in little doses, small, little by little. You see this guy, he doesn't change really, but you just get to know him better, and I think it's a beautiful job done on the characters, like exploration, psychology of certain human aspects. He did great, Mr. Backman. So yeah, my respect to him. He made it to my favorites list. Now I have, what is interesting, because all of these books I said were my 5 stars reads. I did read 50 books though, and not many made it to the 5 stars reads. The one I'm gonna talk about is a 4.5, is kind of a special mention. It didn't quite make it to 5 stars for me. I'm gonna stop rating the books, by the way, in this year, but I rate them in Goodreads just so that I can know my favorites at the end, because it helps me go through everything. But I think I will stop doing that because it stresses me as I'm reading. I'm always like, what is that book exactly? And I don't like that. So probably I will not do it this year, and I will find another way to you know, keep track of my favorites. But this special mention goes to Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. I spoke about it in my previous video. This is a historical fiction set in Iceland, and it explores the last execution or the life of the last executed person in Iceland, which is Agnes Mungusdóttir, yeah, she was the last person to be executed in the 19th century in Iceland, and we follow this story and the story of the murders and everything from her perspective. And this work was done as part of a PhD submission, or was the PhD submission for the author, who is Hannah Kent. She studied abroad in Iceland, and once back home she decided to do her PhD around the topic and present it as a fiction piece, and it was such a leap of faith, and I just think she did great. Like, I would want to submit this as my PhD thesis or like work and research. So there's a lot of research done here, obviously, as a requirement for a doctorate degree, but it was also turned into a beautiful piece of literature, and I think that just that gets her a great recognition because the writing is amazing, the atmosphere is great. You learn about Iceland, you learn about these murders, you learn about popular cultures and how women are viewed when it comes to being born poor and educated, and like, when you educate yourself, it's beautiful. I just think it's something new and out of many of us comfort zone, but I think you should definitely give it a chance because it was one of my favorite books of the year. Finally, the grand finale, which is my favorite book of the year, really most favorite, but also one that has become one of my top 3 favorites in the world, and I can just tell you right now, it's Moveable Feast, Le Grand Monde, and this one now, and that is, get ready guys, because that book was gorgeous. Just Kids by Patti Smith. Are you surprised? I am not, because I've been talking about this book so much all the time. I'm becoming annoying. But if you haven't read it yet guys, that means that you don't love me or my videos or everything I'm trying to convey to you through this YouTube channel. Please go and read it, please. It's so nice, and it's everything I want in a book. I love Patti Smith. I read her M-Train book first, but this one is the National Book Prize winner, and it's all about New York in the 70s and artists trying to make it, and the creative process and the relationships you build. And she, as the great writer, observer, reflector, dreamer she is, her prose is so nice. Like, very few people can write about their lives the way she did. She is so talented, and you know, writing is not even like her main thing. She's a musician, a composer, a guitarist, a rock and roll musician basically, and she performs, she still does. And she also does photography. She has this signature Polaroid that she always had on in her books. This is so good. Like, for me, she's an amazing writer. It made me cry, it made me laugh, it made me think, reflect, and I will leave you the full video of me talking about it here because you definitely need to read this book and hear me talk more about it. Alright friends, those were my favorites, and with that, the last installment of the 2019 wrap-up. Let me know one book from your favorite that I should read, especially if you've been here for a while, so you know my taste in reading. And I definitely want to start reading more of your recommendations, so please let me know one of your favorites that you think I would love and that I should definitely read, knowing what I like in general, or just if you think it's something that everyone should read. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Happy New Year again. Okay, that sounds so out of time and place right now to say that on the 12th of January, but you know, we're still there, and also hard to say it looking at the state of the world, just starting off not great, but you gotta keep your optimism and cry when you're in your room, because I definitely do that a lot. The state of the world makes me cry. That's going to be it for the rambling. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for another incredible year and ride with you, coming along with me in my reading journey. I hope you enjoy my videos and you keep enjoying them, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.